Section 4. Lights and Shadows. Video 4.1. Ambient and Hemisphere Lighting. In this video we're going to look in more detail at lighting. The starting template is at this address. The template contains a scene with a cube texture map background and a cluster of spheres, each using the same default mesh standard material, which is a white material that responds to lighting. The template has orbit controls applied so you can rotate around the scene using a mouse. You've probably worked out why the spheres are black when the material is white. Yes, the scene contains no lights. The simplest type of light is an ambient light. We've seen one before. An ambient light takes two parameters. Both parameters are optional. The first parameter is an integer value that defines the colour. This is usually defined as a hexadecimal value. Hexadecimal values in JavaScript are prefixed with 0x. When defining a colour, the first two values are the red component, the next two the green, and the last two the blue. This type of colour is often called an RGB value. If you're unfamiliar with hexadecimal, let me explain. 0 to 9 is the same in hexadecimal as decimal. The next value begins to use letters. A equals 10, B equals 11, up to F equals 15. And at this point the value rolls into the next column. So 10 in hexadecimal is equal to 16 in decimal. The highest value that can be expressed using two numbers in hexadecimal is FF, which is 255 in decimal. Remember that F equals 15, so FF is the equivalent of 15 times 16 plus 15, which equals 255. For our example, let's use white, which is 0x FF FF FF. Maximum values for red, green and blue. Enter const ambient equals new 3.AmbientLight 0x FF FF FF. Scene.add ambient. Now the sphere takes on an even grey colour. Ambient light is a light that hits the surface from all angles. It's effectively the lowest level lighting in the scene. Remember I said that an ambient light constructor has two parameters. The second parameter is the intensity. Try setting this as 2. Now the spheres are white. Now change it to 0.2. That gives a low-level ambient light effect. You use ambient lighting as a fill light to lift the very dark areas. It isn't the main light for a scene. Another ambient light is the hemisphere light. This is similar to the ambient light in that light comes from all directions. However, you specify a colour for the light in the positive y direction, the sky, and a colour for the light in the negative y direction, the ground. The light makes a very effective light to replace the ambient light, since you can make the sphere seem to have a semi-directional light applied by setting appropriate values for the sky and ground light. Comment out the ambient light and enter const ambient equals new 3.HemisphereLight 0x FF 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 0x AA AA 66. Here we're using a white colour for the sky and a brownish colour for the ground in an attempt to echo the scene background. A hemisphere light has a third parameter, the intensity. Try adjusting this to see the effect. In general, I recommend using a hemisphere light as your ambient light, since it gives this additional level of control to the objects in your scene. For almost all circumstances, the light under an object is at a lower level to that above an object, and this is easily achieved using a hemisphere light. In this video we looked at very simple lights.